Walk through Tokyo today, and the first things you notice is how clean everything is. No litter, no graffiti, vending machines that looks like they were installed this morning. People on the internet love to say it's because of Japanese culture, Zen Buddhism, some kind of spiritual discipline. But 110 years ago, on a streetcar in this same city, passengers were spitting on the floor, throwing tangerine peels under their seats, reading newspapers out loud, and then getting into fistfights. And 60 years ago, there was an island in Tokyo Bay covered in garbage and swarming with the flies. So many flies that kids in the neighborhood couldn't go to school. And right here in Tokyo, one district literally went war with another over where to put trash. Japan didn't become clean because of some ancient philosophy. It became clean because it was filthy, embarrassed, and desperate. Let's start with what a Tokyo train actually looked like over 100 years ago. In 1908, a Japanese writer named Nagai Kahu wrote a short story set on the streetcar running from Yotsuya to Tsukiji. On board, you've got a soldier, a few merchants, an old geisha, some schoolgirls, and a couple of kids with baseball gear. Just a regular afternoon ride, except the old geisha is loudly sucking on the bad tooth, and construction boss let out a massive yawn, and mother gets on with the baby, starts breastfeeding right there. Someone's reading a newspaper out loud. And it gets worse. Passengers start shoving each other. People are jumping on and off while streetcar is still moving. One guy falls off and rolls on the ground, and a fare dodger runs away. And when conductor chases him, the rest of passengers yell, "Stop being cheap, just go!" And here's the thing, jumping on and off moving streetcar wasn't considered rude. It was actually cool. If you could do it smoothly, you were a real city person. In 1904, guidebook literally said, jumping on and off is perfectly fine. Quite convenient, actually. Now, why does this matter? Because the same period is when Japan started producing its very first train etiquette books. In 1916, someone published a book called Densha Hayaku Baka, which literally translated to 100 train idiots. 100 different bad behaviors listed one by one and called out as stupid. In 1919, Japan's railway ministry published a booklet called From the Railway to Your Home. It listed rules like don't sing, don't read out loud, don't undress, don't throw things on the window, don't throw rocks at trains. The fact that these rules exist proved they were being broken. Tanaka's displayed norms concept. This about that for a second. If you need to tell people, please don't throw rocks at the train, that means people were throwing rocks at the train. And this is really important point. When you see a manner poster or rule saying, please don't do this, that's not proof that people were polite. That's a proof that they are warned. The poster exists because the problem exists. Two things made this kind of public education possible. First, literacy rates were skyrocketing. By the early 1900s, most Japanese people could read. So posters, booklets, newspapers actually worked as tools. Second, Tokyo was filled up with people from all over the country. Farmers from Tohoku, fishermen from Kyushu, people who had never ridden a train before suddenly packed into the same small car with city folks who had their own set of unwritten rules. The railway didn't just move people, it forced strangers from completely different worlds into one tiny space, and the society had to figure out how those strangers should behave. This is Tanaka's core thesis. Railway norms are a reference point for stabilizing temporarily relationships between strangers. Fast forward to the 1960s, Japan is booming. The economy is growing faster than almost anywhere in the world. Factories are running day and night. People are buying things never could before, but nobody planned what to do with all the waste. In Tokyo, most of the garbage was dumped straight into a landfill on a small island in Tokyo Bay called Yumenoshima. Dream Island. Lovely name. But the early 1960s, Dream Island was anything but. More than half of Tokyo's waste was being buried there without any treatment. No burning, no sorting, just raw garbage, piled higher and higher. 5,000 garbage trucks rolled through the surroundings neighborhood every single day. Liquid from rotten waste leaked out the trucks and dripped onto the roads. The methane from decomposing trash caught fire on its own. In 1961, the northern part of Ireland just went up in flames. It burned for 2 weeks straight. And then, in the summer of 1965, the flies came. Massive swarms of flies erupted from Dream Island and descended on the neighborhoods of Kotoku. School had to shut down. Families couldn't open their windows for 4 months. This went on 4 months. Can you imagine that? So the city's response, they called it Operation Scorched Earth. Firefighters poured heavily oil over the mountains of garbage and set them on fire. The fire department, the police, and even the self-defense forces were called in. This wasn't happening in a developing country, 1800s. This was Tokyo, the capital of the world's fastest growing economy in 1965. Crazy, isn't it? Now, here's where it gets political. See, the garbage wasn't just piling up at the Dream Island. It was piling up in people's lives, specifically the people of Kotoku, the district right next to the dump. Kotoku was handling about 70% of Tokyo's entire garbage problem every day. The trucks, the smell, the flies, all of it. Meanwhile, on the other side of Tokyo, there was Suginami-ku, a wealthy residential neighborhood. Nice houses, quiet streets, and they had a problem too. The Tokyo government wanted to publish a garbage processing plant in their district. Suginami said, no. Absolutely not. Not in our neighborhood. In September 1971, Tokyo's governor stood up in the Metropolitan Assembly and officially declared a garbage war. Those were his actual words. Gomi senso. Garbage war. And then Kotoku made it literal. Starting in 1972, residents of Kotoku went out onto the roads and physically blocked garbage trucks coming from Suginami. They stood in front of the trucks. They wouldn't move. The sanitation workers union joined in with the boycott. Garbage piled up on the streets of Suginami. Mountains of it in a nice, wealthy neighborhood. Now, you know how it feels. On the Suginami side, the resident fighting against the new plan had their own tactics. There was a golf driving range near the proposed site with a tall metal tower. They used it as a lookout post, so whenever Tokyo City's surveyors showed up to measure the land, someone on the tower would spot them and bang on tin cans to rally the neighbors. And they'd rush over. It physically broke the surveyors from walking. At one point, activists from the far left movements, the same people involved in Narita Airport's protest, offered to help. The Suginami residents said, no, we fight this ourselves as citizens. This went on 4 years. Eventually, in November 1974, a settlement was reached. Suginami agreed to accept the plan. It was finally completed in 1982. The whole conflict lasted over a decade. District against district, citizens against citizen, over garbage in Tokyo. That's crazy. I didn't know. But the garbage war wasn't the beginning of the cleanup. Something else happened first. That changed everything. The 1964 Tokyo Olympics. In 1962, 2 years before the Games, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government launched something called the Capital Beautification Campaign, 首都圏美化運動. Every month, the 10th was declared Beautification Day. And the motivation was simple. The foreigners are coming. We cannot be embarrassed. That's it. That was the engine. Not spiritually, not traditionally. Shame. And the results were staggering. Take Shibuya, the famous crossing, the statue of Hachiko, in 1959. Shibuya's storage coverage was 3%. 3. Before the Olympics, there were vacuum trucks driving through Shibuya, collecting human waste from houses that didn't have to flush toilets. But in 1964, the number had jumped to 60%. The government also distributed something that sounds incredibly basic but changed everything. Plastic garbage bins. A company called Sekisui Chemical developed a lightweight polyethylene bucket. On the advice of New York City's sanitation commissioner, they called it a cleaning revolution. The Ministry of Education sent directives to every school in the country, raised public morals, used the Olympics to teach children how to be clean. The former head of Tokyo's Swear Bureau later said something I think is really telling. He said the greatest legacy of the 1964 Olympics was not the stadium, it was the seawars. So, Dream Island today is a public park. There's a sports center, a tropical greenhouse at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. They held an archery competition there. An island of garbage became an Olympic venue. Suginami, inside the very garbage plant the residents fought against for decades. There's a small museum. It's called the Tokyo Garbage War History and Future Hall. They built a museum inside of things they didn't want to remember the fight they eventually lost. There's an academic named Tanaka Daisuke who studies the history of manners on Japanese trains, and he makes a point that I think applies to cleanliness too. He says there are two kinds of social rules: displayed norms, the ones written on posters, printed in booklets, announced loudspeakers, and undisplayed norms, the ones nobody needs to state because everyone just knows them. So when you see a rule written on the poster, it means the rule hasn't been internalized yet. People are still breaking it, but over time, if a society repeats the message long enough and consistently enough, the rule moves from displayed to undisplayed. From a poster on the wall to something everyone just does. That's what happened with the cleanliness in Japan. The posters came first, and etiquette books comes first. The Olympic shame came first. The garbage work came first. And then, after decades of repetition, the behavior became automatic. It wasn't always there. It was built over 100 years by politicians, bureaucrats, angry residents, embarrassed governments, and millions of school children who were told, clean up after yourself. Japan is clean today, not because Japanese people were born this way. It's clean because it used to be dirty. And somebody decided that was unacceptable. Okay, so next time on Hidden Japan, Japanese politeness. Everyone says Japanese people are the most polite in the world. But what if I told you that's not really what's going on? Before you go, my name is Sheo. I grew up in Japan for most of my life. I thought I understand this country. I lived inside it. I speak the language. I follow the rules without ever asking what rules exist. And then I started asking. It turns out that's the one thing Japanese people really do. Not because we were hiding anything, but because when you grow up inside something, you stop seeing it. It just becomes normal. This channel is me saying again for the first time out loud in English. If that sounds like something you want, I'm here every week. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye. ありがとうございました。